Is she recording?
Yeah, she's recording.
Yes.
I didn't
She
see
pushed
that.
the button.
I didn't
She
see
pushed the
5,
button,
4,
honey.
3, 2, 1. Okay, here we go.
I did. Grandpa.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this fabulous free episode of a Life Lived Trans podcast with your hosts Marty P. and
That's me.
Lenny Z. We're so
That's
excited to bring you weekly doses of wisdom from two old trannies. Do they make us say that?
Yes. I know it's elder abuse.
Who have seen it all before. And I just have to add a disclaimer that in this episode, as in some of our others, we may talk about content that may not be particularly appropriate for those below the age of 18, because in our younger years, we did have to engage in certain survival work. Then we go into detail about that. So be prepared. How are you, my dear?
It's all educational. We are here to educate, to leave testimony.
Yes.
For those that did not make it, and there was, most of us,
Yes.
most of us didn't make it from back then. And that's why we're here telling you little stories. So welcome everybody. Hi, Lenny.
Hi.
How was your week? You've been going crazy.
I've been going crazy. This is a big week for me because I am a trans
You're
elder.
moving. You're moving.
Not only am I moving, but I retired.
You're retired. Yay. We should have like that celebration sound and all that stuff.
Yeah, here we go.
God, I can't wait until we have the budget for that. Yay. Woo.
I'm playing it on the speakers, but
celebrate. Yeah.
So I'm not.
You're done. Oh my God. Did you get a watch?
I got a watch, and I'm.
Oh my God. What a cliche. That's hilarious.
And I'll tell you about it later, but it was not my particular style, let's say, because I've been wearing the same digital watch for like 10 years. But so I'm a little too young to retire. I don't have the money to retire, but I need to go down to New Orleans and take care of my mom, who's elderly and ill, and my sister's been doing it all by herself. Bless her heart, because
and moving in with your honey bunny.
Yes, my wife.
Yeah.
So we've got,
Hi, Andre.
Aw. You'll get to see her. She'll be here in New York on Thursday. And
it's a free episode, so everybody can listen. So I hope she's
she
listening.
Listens to all of them.
Oh, that's great. So yeah, it's like this is a free episode, you guys, and it's like enjoy and let us know if you like it, and please leave us ratings and give us a 5-star rating, review, leave comments, share this with your friends and stuff, get it out there because we're just that little engine that could right now.
Yeah, and we're just two people who are average and recording, taking time out of our week to record our stories, to hopefully help people and to help them understand our lived experience.
Leave testimony,
right?
Yeah,
give testimony, our lived experience for going on 5 decades, almost. Well, we were born trans, but living as trans for almost 5 decades, and people don't think that we exist. We are unicorns,
and we do. And we want to thank everybody that has been sharing the podcast, and to our Patreon subscribers. Thank you
so much.
I want to find out your names and stuff. I'm going to talk to the producer about that because I see other podcasts they actually do like a shout out to people when people come on. Like, I don't know if it's anonymous or not, but I've seen people do that. They do shout outs. But we really appreciate you. Thank you for paying, like, I don't know, I think it's like $4 a month in America.
Right,
and so for American. And then you get to listen to all of our podcasts all month. We drop every week, every Tuesday, and the first Tuesday of the month, will be this one, is free. So enjoy our vibrations coming into your ear holes.
And hopefully we can do a little bit of a contest. And I will, for the first 10 subscribers, what's this, in July, I will give you a free copy of my new CD, which is called He Him.
Ooh, yeah. Let's do something like that.
And then maybe eventually we'll get T-shirts made.
So how about we say that the 50th subscriber?
There we go.
Because we have, how many do I have now?
I think it's
producer,
about 14.
Producer lady that looks like she's producer lady that looks like she's underage now.
I know, she does. She probably gets carded at the pub.
Oh, she's not even here. She's not even listening to us. She's not even producing.
She had to go
to
the
my
loo.
God.
I am producing.
Okay.
I was just finding out the number, which is which is 15.
Sorry, I pulled a Carmen.
Oh,
Oh, I can't believe we're using that as a verb now.
Oh my God, it's a verb.
And I can tell you that our paid members, if you want to know their wonderful names,
Yes.
we have Miss Jane of all trades. We have Ian A, Gary, Seb,
Aw.
Mina, LB,
Nina,
Ava,
Ava.
Miss Bray Carnes.
That's my daughter.
Petunia,
That's
Jamie
my daughter.
P, Zen,
Jamie P. Jamie.
Emma, Billy, Aubrey, and Alexandra.
very nice.
Well, if you're in the top subscription, you can see me shaking my Buddha, my
Buddha
Bowie
boobs.
Buddha, my Bowie Buddha boobs right now. Yeah, because I'm wearing my Buddha Bowie shirt from gowhomeyourself.com.
It's amazing that as you get older, your ability to speak just starts to fade. And I think it's wonderful.
But to be fully disclosure, as I took a couple gummy bears for my migraine. So
Okay,
go away. Okay, go away. You go back to your black hole.
no ageism. Okay, ageism is not accepted here. We are trans elders, but today we're going to talk about our experience. Working.
Working, yeah. And I just want to say that person that you're hearing, that's our little what should I say? Our little project.
Our little project
that we're helping to mold and put into the world, and as another gracious guest to infiltrate the system and stuff. But we got to pound the pick me out of her and stuff. Okay, so we're talking about today about our working as trans persons, right? Yes. And it's like how for me it's well, you kind of touched on the we're such a cliche when it comes to our stories. I don't want to be a cliche like talking about it, but it's definitely the job that I had to do coming up, in 1977 at 15. It's like what we all had to do. We had to work the street. That's where you could only make your money, is through that, unless you were a unicorn and had beautiful parents that would like put you through school and protect you from move to a different city and do that. Like, it was very rare, but it did happen, type of thing. But we were forced into survival work,
right?
And so you touched on that too, right?
I did
at the beginning,
because I as a trans masculine person, that wasn't necessarily a thing, and I didn't certainly. Some people do choose to do that, and I always want to say sex work is work, and it needs to be regulated, and people need to take care of themselves if you choose to do that for a living. But
you were hanging out. You were hanging with the hoes, though.
Well, my first live-in girlfriend, who was older than me, and unfortunately we got into some illicit substances, and or she introduced me to that.
Oh,
but
my God.
I was really enamored with William Burroughs and the whole drug
Naked
culture,
Lunch.
Naked Lunch, yeah. And I thought, oh well, I'm going to be a rocker, and this is what you do, but then she also had to turn tricks, and sometimes she needed the car fixed, and she'd say, okay, Lenny, go take a walk, and she was kind of a heavy smoker, and go take a walk.
No.
But she was also physically abusive. May she rest in peace, because she did die in a horrible motorcycle accident with her boyfriend after me.
So she got you into doing a couple dates a couple times.
Yes,
that's what
a couple of dates.
You've mentioned that.
Wanted me to join in. I was like,
so you missed being marinated in it, like I did.
Yes, I did.
And like most trans women, trans girls, coming up, we're marinated in that. Like, we're so objectified. That's our only way to survive. And some of us do really, really well. And it's like, like I did it really, really well. But unfortunately, I hated not unfortunately, but whatever. It's like it's work. It's like I know women that are still doing it, and it's like, and they're fine. You know what I mean? But I couldn't do it. I never wanted to do it. So I found drugs and alcohol right away.
Right,
At
because that helps
15,
you
and then I could do it.
That helps you get through it because
Absolutely, it was my friend right up until it didn't.
And you actually ran into some questionable / dangerous experiences in your period doing that.
Oh God, it was all the time. It was just, we were so desensitized that, when I ended up going to recovery in 91, my girlfriend Tiggy couldn't believe that I was like, just, Xing her out of my life because I had to survive. Like I had to completely retool my brain because I'd been, basically on this, doing that work, even though I did it as an escort and stuff and all that, the girlfriend experience I learned how to do that really quickly. But I still ran into psychos and stuff, but I was my drug addiction, by the time it was 1990, I could not take anything without ending up in the hospital. I was so toxic. So when I was in recovery and I realized that I had to completely focus on recovery and stay away from everybody, Tiggy was actually dropping off letters at this women treatment center that I was at, and I didn't even know. They didn't tell me this until she died.
Wow.
They kept the letters because
no.
it was so she was. Well, no, they had to, because like you can't have people from the outside world trying to tempt you back.
Oh,
it's like yeah, and it's like, and she was writing in those letters like, oh come on, it's like you had 2 serial killer incidents, like, and it's like and that one guy that had a gun and blah blah blah.
That's all.
I know. It's like and it's like how many times that you had to take me home from the hospital and stuff because she had her face beaten in by tricks that figured it out or something. And it's like, and because she always worked on the street because she had a record at a young age, so you couldn't get an escort license in Canada, whereas I didn't, because of my fucking palm colored privilege, right? I was able to cry my way through everything,
right.
And so anyways, so yeah, it's like, but that's how desensitized we were as a community about what was happening to us. So of course, it's like everybody had so many horrible things happening to them all the time. It was just crazy, like the stuff and that's what kept you there, is because you desensitize yourself and you think that you deserve this, and people just stayed there. Luckily, I got out of it and moved, got sugar daddies and all that shit, that we do. And then went to escort services. So it was the same shit, different pile with fucking glitter thrown on it. But it still, allowed you to hover around that bottom longer rather than hit it, And so, but drugs took me down finally because I just I hated doing it. I couldn't stand it. It's like, I'm still healing from it. I'm just like, I'm practically asexual from it because of it, right?
Right, and I know when my first girlfriend was working for a service rather than
that
for
was
herself.
A lot. Sorry,
That's okay.
Thank you, Dr. Lenny.
They, that was better managed because they could vet the customers and whatever. But I had to get out of it because we were doing drugs, and then ultimately I got hepatitis B and had to, go clean from everything. And when we broke up, she beat the shit out of me, and I had to go run and hide at a neighbor's house. And a lot of my friends don't know this because I don't talk about that part of my life, because I've been married and I was living a heteronormative life, and I'm in corporate and I'm in, working at the record company. They don't realize how fucked up things were early on. And I just want to interject as you tell the story, Marty, and I'm so sorry you had to go through that. We have to talk about the Scrimeti case that just came up in Tennessee, where they're banning gender affirming care for minors. That if you don't support your kids, or we don't support trans minors, they're going to end up on the street. They're going to be rent boys or working on the the Davie Street.
That's what they want. They don't care. They just want to get rid of us.
Or they'll end up dead. So this is really
they don't care.
An important thing, because we are just a normal human variant. And as Marty likes to say, she has, what is it?
An anomaly.
Anomaly, right. And we're just a normal human variant, but we have to support trans kids so that they don't end up self-harming or out on the streets and doing the stuff that we had to go through. But there is a happy ending because little by little we each came out of that life. And Marty, why don't you tell us a little bit how you got from the icky place
the
to
working. Well, it's like to make money, like we said, sure. When that was my money maker. Except also, luckily I was also into performance and stuff, so I'd get paid big lumps when I'd do, performance, at clubs or stuff like that. So I did have respites from it. I was very, very lucky, right? But when I entered recovery, because I just couldn't do it anymore. I was dying. I was dying. I was end up in the hospital ODing all the time, not even knowing. I wasn't even trying to. It was just I was so toxic from so many pills just to function. And so there, they told me the only thing you have to, the only thing that you have to change is everything. And I felt that to the tips of my toes when they said that. So that's what I did. So I completely I didn't even see anybody from my old life for probably 3-4 years.
Wow.
Like I just completely focused on people in recovery. It was the first time that I was able to be open in the light of day, like with people telling them the tea, but I was very exclusive who I told that to. It was usually the people that were running the treatment centers and stuff that I was living in. And but I still kept it stealth, and on the down low or the who need to know basis type of thing, and so I started my stealth life in recovery and going back to school, retooling, and I was so excited. That's what I wanted to do my whole life. That I wanted to go to Berkeley when I was 15. That's where I was enrolling to go to Berkeley. And for television arts and sciences, I wanted to go into theater.
I wanted to go to Berkeley
entertainment, entertainment, yeah. And but unfortunately, back in 77, 78, it's like you couldn't do what you can today. Is go to those colleges, be supported as you go through your transition. You had to pick either one or the other. And that was it. Well, it's like you couldn't even go to school as a fully formed trans woman. In most colleges, I had friends that would be pulled out, were pulled out and expelled, and their parents told that they're protecting the other children.
Right, that's exactly what happened to me. I mean, I came out to one person in high school. I was a senior. I was in performing arts high school.
Yeah, that happened to you.
And I told her, she told her dad, who was very strict. He called the principal of the school. The principal called my dad, and they said, Lenny's not welcome to come back to school. We're going to send the diploma in the mail. And all of a sudden, I was just cut off. And I want to go back to your experience when you got clean. What an amazing act of courage and self-love. Because I think that's one thing that people who get into substance abuse, because we were dealing with so much at such a young age that we needed those drugs to get us through because we didn't have the support that's available for a lot of younger kids today. And now they're trying to cut that, which is horrific. Here in the United States, they've actually cut the suicide prevention line for LGBTQ people. And now Canada has created a number that LGBTQ teens can call if they're feeling like they might hurt themselves, which I think is amazing.
That's good.
Yeah, thank you, Canada.
That's really good, yeah.
And so, we're at this place where we don't feel we belong. We may hate ourselves or think there's something broken or wrong with us, so we turn to these substances. And you found the strength and the courage to get into this program and break away from everything you knew before so that you could start to love yourself.
Yeah, I'd like to think, I guess that maybe it is strength and courage, but I saw it as I just didn't want to die.
Oh.
I just didn't, I was just like terrified. I was just like, oh my God, I don't want to die. And then so I finally just, opened up and just went, help me. And it's like, and there's something about when you fall on your knees, when you really are ready to surrender, and you just say help.
Yes.
The fucking universe listens. It brings people around. There's people out there to help. There really is. But you have to hit that fucking bottom.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so that's luckily it was like divine providence to me. Like I'm not really, I'm not into the guy. There's no guy in the sky that's going to give me a kitchen appliance if I'm good type of thing. Bullshit. But it's like, but I do believe in the power of good orderly direction. If that's what you want to call God, right?
Direction.
Yeah.
And
so I called out and I said, and I just really wanted it. And then so fast forward, because this is what the episode is about, is that they said, no, you don't have to do that anymore, Marty. It's like I was in this treatment center. And there was all these other women that were healing too. And then I went to this recovery house and there was all these women that I was healing with too and going all around Vancouver to meetings and stuff. And it's like, and the counselor says, no, Marty, it's like, you don't have to do that shit anymore. It's like, there's a 16-week program called Employment Skills for Women. This was in Canada. It was a federal funded program. So I went with about 10 other women that I knew from recovery. And it was kind of like a treatment, but to get back into the workforce for fallen women or whatever the fuck. It's like, and so we did 16 weeks and then they put us on practicums, right? To see what you'd be good at. And so there I learned how to retool my brain when it came and dump my shame and guilt. And because I thought, fuck, I've never done anything. Sure, I worked at, as a kid, at restaurants before I ran away type of thing. And they said, well, that's good. Write it down. And then I said, well, and then they said, but I didn't do anything else after that. And they said, sure you did. You ran escort services. You survived all that. So they showed me how that I had transferable skills from that crazy shit that I had to do working in that industry. And that's a lot. So they put it through all of their little analysis and stuff, and they nudged me towards social service and working in health services.
Oh, that's
and
great.
so I went on a couple practicums, and every place that I went to, they wanted to hire me afterwards because I had such great personable skills working with clients and stuff. So I got nudged to mental health and community services diplomas and recreation services diplomas, and within 5 years, I went up the ladder from on-call to all that shit to being a coordinator of one of the biggest nonprofits in Vancouver called Coast Foundation. I was a coordinator of recreation services. So I basically, I started as the bus lady there, and then I ended up, being the coordinator of all the bus ladies and all the fun stuff that went on at all these places. So I got to be the fun lady, right?
So you went from one type of recreation service to another
Exactly. Transferable skills, darling.
No, and
transferable
it means,
skills.
I had to drop out of college.
We all have them. Maybe that's the title for this episode.
Transferable skills.
Got it.
I had to drop
Carly,
out
are
of...
you there? Are you listening, our little buttercup? Is she mad at me now?
Asleep.
I'm always listening.
Oh, okay, good.
No, but I think,
Thank you, darling.
I had to drop out of college because of the drugs and whatnot, and then I had to reapply because I'd flunked out, and they gave me amnesty so I could start with a clean slate. And when Andre and I were together, I went back to school and did okay, but I had a band like all this time through the 80s, opening for all these bands. And one thing I meant to put in was my first girlfriend who was working got busted, and we were about to open for the Lords of the New Church, who was Stiv Bader's band after the Dead Boys. And I was at sound check. I got a call. She's like, "Come help me! I'm in jail. I got busted, and they're hurting me." And I had saved $600 for a guitar. I had to run home, like crossing the interstate by foot, get the money I'd saved for the guitar to get her out of jail, which broke my heart. But then we went on with the show.
The knight in shining armor comes again.
Well, I always identify as the helpful one, or it gives me pleasure to help other people.
Can I just say something? My inner child and my inner teenager or whatever is so jealous of your experience that you had. I'm sure you had your shit and stuff, but it's like it just seems like there's part of me that just goes, oh, see, trans men just get it so much easier.
We
If you're
do
a guy,
in a way,
you get
but-
it so much easier because it's the male privilege,
But you
right?
have to remember, in the 70s, I was still by myself. I didn't have parental support. There weren't like
But still, guiding
groups
through
to
the
go
world,
to, right.
you had more opportunities than I did.
I think I did. I absolutely did. And so
because it's a man's world.
patriarchy, smash the patriarchy.
Yeah.
And smash the
.com.
binary too.
.com.
But so anyway, so I went from running bands talking about transferable skills, and then I got into
transferable skills.
I worked at I worked at a sandwich shop making po' boys. I worked at a record store. I worked at a hotel. I bussed
working
tables.
for the man every night and day.
And by the time I got to here in New York, because I left New Orleans with a broken heart after Andre and I split up for a little while. And
oh my God, you sound like my husband.
I know.
He's the serial monogamist.
I am a serial monogamist. But then I came to New York and I, was a secretary, administrative assistant at the record company. But then I moved up really quickly. I became a manager, then a director. And because running a band is like managing crazy people, schedules, scheduling and rehearsals and what's the set and
You're not allowed to say that anymore.
What do you call them?
Emotionally challenged. Emotionally challenged.
Well, okay.
I don't care. I don't care.
I look, I have, generalized anxiety disorder and been in therapy for a bazillion years. So, mentally or emotionally challenged, I think. Mentally challenged would be intellectually
emotionally challenged.
But anyway, like you said, transferable
no, you're emotionally
skills.
challenged too. We're emotionally challenged.
We are. Everything that we had to go through growing up enabled us to get into what a lot of people call straight work.
Say that again.
A lot of people call straight work, like a straight job.
But what did you say before that?
Oh, I said that a lot of the things that we had to endure in our youth gave us those transferable skills, to become managers or to manage difficult situations.
Yes,
because I'm sure,
absolutely.
Managing all the buses and whatnot was a lot like running a service.
Oh, yeah. I was working in forensic psychology.
Whoa.
So with the criminally insane, darling.
Fun.
Like, oh, yeah. I remember being on a camping trip with a whole bunch of them. One of my first ones, and I went off with one guy, and he was kind of like Sling Blade, if you've seen the movie.
Yes,
and it's like, and I'm taking him. We go walking around the lake, and I get back, and two of the staff went, "What the fuck? Don't ever fuck, come here!" And they let me read his file. He had chopped up both of his parents when he was young.
Oh,
like,
my God.
Loaded on acid or something, like back like 40 years before or something. And in Canada, it's like, you do like 30 years for that and then get a psych ticket.
But what's interesting is you were in peril when you were at the escort service, and then you were still kind of in peril when you were working.
It was. It was
social
really
work
true.
job.
Yeah, working in social services, I think you have a 5-year shelf life in that, and if you don't leave after that, it's like you can get. Yeah, so I went from working with the hard to house, and then I had that actually slipped on on alcohol. I never went back to drugs like any of that shit. But it's like but then when I went back I got more office-y jobs in it, like more pre-vocational rehab. But I was, behind the scenes, like writing, programs and stuff, for them to do and testing them out. That's what I did for the last part of my career.
How long did you do that?
20 years.
20. Wow.
Almost 20 years.
Because I've been working like in the office, from the time I left New Orleans, I got to New York. I started working in an office behind a desk at a computer now for 30 years. And I said, oh my God, I wish I could have just played music. In certain European countries like Finland, and you get a stipend to be an artist and you can do your
that's
work.
Beautiful.
But I needed two things.
Yeah.
I needed my hormones covered.
Yeah.
And I needed therapy. And then eventually surgery. I mean, I had surgery in 1988. But the first one, and then had the most recent one when I got all the insides taken out because my mom has ovarian cancer.
Right. That was smart.
So I just
Yeah.
was like, okay, I don't want to even risk that. So I had all that taken out like 3 years ago. And it was so easy. I hate to say that, knock on wood, for those for whom it wasn't. But I
Mm-hmm.
needed to work a straight job, which, felt a little bit oppressive to me because I really wanted to be on tour and playing shows and writing music. But I managed to do both almost during the whole period. So I feel very fortunate. Again, Marty, you're right. It's part of
Well,
that male privilege.
Well, and it's amazing that you were able to finish your career and retire. Because for me, in 2000, around 2007, I started ending up in the hospital. Like I was working, as a coordinator in this mental health services and stuff in Vancouver. Working, I was teaching yoga on the side in this temple. I was flying all around the world, like fucking getting all these yoga tickets from this lineage that I was following. And, I do that on my vacations, right? And so I was doing a lot. And then all of a sudden, I would end up waking up with hearts racing, and I'd end up in the hospital, and it was mimicking like a stroke or
Oh my
a
God.
heart attack.
So that, how
but
long
it wasn't.
ago did that start?
But that was 2007. It started. It was in 2007, and then. But it was just tachycardia, but they couldn't figure it out. And I was getting really wicked migraines, like really, really, like I always had them, but these were take me down. So I kept missing work and shit. And I'd have really weird episodes of anxiety and stuff. And so I started seeing all these different fucking doctors. And finally, this group of doctors came together, and they sent me to a fucking psychologist. And there I fucking told my story to them. Mm-hmm. And they went, oh fuck, because I was stealth to most of these fucking specialists, right? And they went, fuck, well, of course, this is CPTSD. You are totally baked in trauma. And it's like, and we see this all the time, because once you go into your mid 40s, your body mind connection you cannot just pull up your socks and move through this type of thing. It starts to take you fucking down, especially if you have, if you're working in full time and shit. And so they told me that I couldn't work anymore.
And for those who don't
I couldn't
know,
believe it.
CPTSD is
right.
post-traumatic stress disorder.
It's chronic.
Or
chronic.
Or complex.
Chronic.
Or complex.
It's chronic or complex, yeah.
Post-traumatic, because if you were physically or sexually abused as a child, or went through, gender dysphoria that was without support.
Keep coming.
Gender dysphoria without support, did sex work, beaten or threatened.
Yeah.
I probably have it too. And I, started exploring that with my practitioner to see, like, because I have had panic attacks on and off since college, and a couple that ended me up in the hospital. And I thought I was dying of a heart attack, and they're like, no, you are having a panic attack. And
they're horrible, aren't they?
They really are
God.
horrible and scary.
Jesus.
But now that I kind of know what's going on and how to manage them, and, even yesterday when I was kind of a little bit tense, you really helped me with the 1 minute of breathing that we did. So thank you for that.
Aw. No, it's just like, I couldn't believe it. I thought, what? I was going, I work in mental health. That's for them. Like I'm strong. Like, look what I've survived. Like I couldn't believe that I had PTSD. I couldn't even comprehend it. And then it's like, and then when they actually, soberly like talked to me about it. And then I talked to, my counselors and my fucking, I was in recovery, and everybody was going, oh yeah, of course you do. And it's like, and I was like, wow, this is what's going on. And then I was able to have that time off. I went to a women's sexual assault center for 3 years. I did 3 years of work on, especially this serial killer that tried to kill me in Montreal. It was horrible what happened to me there. And I don't want to get into it, but it's like, but it was, I did 3 years. That's when I married my last husband. It's like, and help raise his son. And I'll always be grateful for that safe space that he created in Victoria. So I was able to do 3 years of that deep, deep, deep therapy that I never looked at any of that stuff before. I was in recovery and stuff, and I looked at other stuff, but I would never touch those major trauma incidents, but I was finally ready to do that, you know. So
And it takes time. It takes so
it
much
takes
time. I think we
It takes
could
time.
actually do an episode on anxiety and trauma, or trauma and anxiety,
And then end it with a minute, and then end it transanxiety. Yeah. Yeah.
later, because and how it affects us, and things that, you know,
and then do a meditation afterwards.
And you know,
I can hear Dochi's song Anxiety, but call it transanxiety.
yeah, I did a couple
Yeah.
of reels where I call it transanxiety or transanxiety, but
I love it.
because we were strong. Look at us. We're made it to this age, and we got through a lot of shit, and we dealt with society that didn't understand or accept us. And kids have more support today, but they're losing it in various parts of the world, even in the UK and in Tennessee. And so we have
because
to
you got to codify it. You got to fight.
You have to fight, but you also have to address those things that you couldn't address until you were 40, to say, wow, look at what I had to go through. And I was uncertain, and I was scared.
Well, you had,
and my parents were scared, and they didn't know how to handle it.
But you also need to have the rights to fight to keep the rights. And we never had the rights before.
Well, we did for a while here in the United States.
No, you know what I mean? You know, do you know what I mean, though? It's like, you have to have like, we didn't have those rights growing up. We didn't have anything.
No, not growing up.
So it's like we had to get those rights, but now we have to fight to keep them. Like, because there's laws that need to be placed, just like how Roe versus Wade
Yeah.
Way in the States, for you guys, it's like you guys slept on it. You didn't codify it. It's like you had to like kick it through the fucking goalposts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think also another piece that we might consider for that episode is, I don't think people realize that living stealth has its own certain amount of stress.
Oh my God.
Because it's not like you come out and you tell everybody like, oh, hey, by the way, you know, you just have to hope that they don't find out, or that, you know, they don't go on the website. I had a boss come up to me and found some of my content on the web and said, oh, I saw a completely different side of you that I didn't know about. And then all of a sudden I felt this chill in the air. Yeah, it was kind of scary. I was like, well, you can't discriminate against me because we live in New York, so don't fuck with me.
When was this?
I can't talk about it right now, but I'll tell you later.
Okay.
It was a while ago, but
okay.
And you know, I even had like club owners in the 90s saying that I was trying to book my band, which was coded. It was called Jennifer Convertible. And we did our album was called Wanna Drag. And here in the fucking East Village of New York, I had a club owner say, oh, I don't want that freak playing here.
Jesus
At Brownies
Christ.
in the 90s.
Yeah, there you go. That's why we're stealth.
And that's why we're telling our stories, because we want people to know it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, coming out as someone who's trans should be as easy as saying, oh, I play tennis on the weekends, or, you know, I like to crochet, or, you know, I'm a Dungeons and Dragons person, or whatever. Yeah.
And getting back to like the working thing, like we're wrapping up now. It's like we've got 10 minutes or 7 minutes. You know, it was even in 1990 when I turned the ship around. It was I was able to do it because of my white, you know, passing privilege.
Yes, we both have
privilege.
White privilege.
I still, there was no other trans that were in recovery, and transsexuals in recovery when I was coming up in Vancouver. And Vancouver is a big place, in recovery too. So it's just taken so long, right? And it's like, and if you couldn't pass and stuff, it's like, it's still like that today. It's, in a lot of places, it is.
And that's another thing I want to bring up before we wrap up is that, for women and men who don't pass, or people who are in the beginning of their transition, it's really hard to get a job. I mean, I remember bringing this one trans woman to one of the music companies I was working at. Polygram doesn't exist anymore. Brilliant musician, brilliant computer scientist, and we needed her to fix some stuff. And, she at the time didn't pass as well, or, was maybe a little bit clocky. And I love this person. I mean, she's amazing. She's a comedian now here in New York. and people were giving her the side eye, and it's like, wow, I can't imagine that level of stress. I mean, it
Oh
took a couple of
God.
years for all the hormones to kick in for me, my facial hair to start growing in, but I
Yeah.
wasn't really. I just looked like a twink, really, when I was young.
Yeah,
But
and even if you can pass, like I remember working at Eaton's. It's kind of like a, I don't know, like a Barney's in New York or something like that. And I was selling shoes, and it's like and there would be, and all of a sudden, I'd be selling the high end shoes to the men. Of
ooh,
course, see,
oh, wait, for the men or
transferable
for their
skills.
wife?
Transferable skills. No, for the men.
Oh,
I worked in like the real snazzy shoes for men.
oh,
So, anyways,
nice.
and then there'd always be a gaggle of gays that would be, all of a sudden I'd hear them cackling in the corner and pointing and going like, oh my God, it's like, that's her. It's like, it's like, and I'm just going, fuck, it just never, it's like, same fucking same character, different actors, different decade. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, it's just smarten up, you gays. Like
Yeah,
it's
like
like
we
it's
talked
not
about
it's
in our
not a
last
game.
episode for Pride and Prejudice was that the cisgender white gay men ostracized trans women of color who started the gay
Yeah.
rights movement. You know,
Oh
so
yeah.
yeah, privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get employment still. It's not as hard, but it's like, so if I was a kid now growing up, fuck, I'd just be staying in frickin' school as much as I can. And it's like, and find the safe spaces, work at Starbucks or wherever the fuck you have to do to make some extra coin, and just get those fucking degrees and work that system and like get in
and
there and
try,
like
at least in the States, try to move if at all possible. I know it's not possible
to a
for so
safe
many to a safe
space.
space because here in New
That's what
York,
I had to do.
it's illegal to discriminate against transgender people.
Exactly. Get your ass to someplace safe. Like I'm in Canada, so I'm saying, but I wouldn't want to live in Alberta. Alberta has, sure we have federal laws, protecting us, but that Alberta is kind of like the frickin' like Florida, Texas
Oh my
of
gosh.
Canada. Yeah, with the way that
Florida,
they're
Texas of Canada.
yeah, they're trying to like take away the kids' rights and stuff, trans kids' rights and stuff. It's just horrible. So yeah, and in 1970, in the late 1970s, that's why I ran away from Alberta to the coast, Vancouver, because that's where the gay mecca was. That's where it was safe to to figure out yourself. Yeah, so find those places, and and you have to make sacrifices to do it. I had to leave everything I knew and everything, because they weren't good for me anyway. My
Right.
family was fucked.
And that's, I wrote that song, Where is Safe? And that's what I want kids
Yeah.
to find, and their parents to find out.
Yes.
If you support your please support your trans kid, first of all. And secondly, if at all possible, get them to a place that is safe, a state.
And if you are one of those parents that are listening to this, because I know a lot of my followers are, it's like, thank you for being a good human and
Yes.
just being a fucking
supportive
gracious
parent.
guest on earth. Yeah,
Yes.
and a supportive parent.
Yes.
Like, and just, realizing that your kid is the one that has the rights.
And
right?
by being a supportive parent, you're basically saving their lives.
Yeah, you are. Oh, yes. We love you.
So good
Love you, all you
episode. Just
good
to
humans in the world.
tell everybody, even though it started out a little bit rough for us, we both worked full careers, full lives,
And I'm here.
and we're
we
here.
made it.
We made it.
Telling our tale. Love you, Lenny.
Love you, darling.
Love doing
Can't
this.
wait to see you at the next episode.
Yes. And thank you, Carly, our sweet
You're
darling.
welcome.
Oh my God. So we hope you enjoyed this episode of A Life Lived Trans podcast. And if you did, and I'm sure you did, please leave us a wonderful review and 5-star us or something like that, and comment or whatever you do. Share our podcast on your socials. Let everybody know. And please join our Patreon by subscribing, where you can listen to the full back catalog. If you want to find us individually, you can find us at me, Marty Pants. That's with a Z or a Z. And Lenny Zenith over there is at Detached Retina but
No.
it's with an
Retsina.
Retsina.
Detached Retsina.
Detached Retsina, which is a wine in Greece or
Yes, correct.
some tiny fishing nation, which between Estonia and Latvia or something. Okay, love you guys.
Love you.
Take
Patreon.com/ALIVELiveTrans. Bye.
Oh yeah, that part. Bye.
A Life Lived Trans is a Diva Down production, produced by Carmen Laurent and Carly, aka Tranby.
Your hosts are Lenny Zenith and Marty Perinek. Thank you for supporting our Life Lived Trans testimonies.
For full episodes and bonus content, please visit www.patreon.com/alifelivedtrans.